Is the blood of sin actually a blessing? All the truth lies in the imperial past. Let's take a different perspective on the perfect world. In the original work, the blood of sin is the greatest injustice in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. These so-called sinful blood clans originally had unparalleled merits, but in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, they were smeared by some Taoist sects, claiming that their ancestors betrayed the 9 heavens and 10 earths, branding them and their descendants as guilty. The blood of sin became their symbol. However, after the Shi brothers fought Ningchuan, Shahao learned through a drop of Ningchuan's blood that the blood of sin was actually a blessing. So, why is the blood of sin considered a blessing? What is the truth? In the early stages, many people did not know the truth about the blood of sin. The original work did not mention the secret of the blood of sin initially. As a result, for a long time, Shahao was called the great villain with sinful blood. Ultimately, he used the heads of the young elites from the foreign realm to exchange for numerous military merits, thereby cleansing the so-called name of sinful blood. It wasn't until later, when he fortuitously arrived at the imperial pass, that he finally discovered the secret of the blood of sin. This so-called sinful blood was actually a blessing. Long ago, endless ages before, countless great battles erupted at the primitive imperial pass, with many clans from the 9 heavens and 10 earths sending their strongest to fight. These included the Stone Clan and the Fire Clan, among others. Although the battles were extremely brutal, the 9 heavens and 10 earths ultimately achieved victory. To honor their merits, all the strong gathered together at the imperial pass for a grand ceremony to bestow kingship. The legendary 7 kings of the Border Desolation were crowned during that period. At that time, being crowned a king was a form of recognition and a form of inheritance. Any clans that were crowned kings received blessings from all clans. It could be said that once crowned, their bloodlines carried special marks and were imbued with luck. When they were crowned, the blessings from various clans formed powerful divine abilities, which were integrated into their blood, forming a pattern that was passed down through generations. The character Sin, revealed by Shahao and his brothers, was precisely this pattern and inheritance. Thus, the blood of Sin represented not only glory and splendor, but also a blessing. However, the 9 heavens and 10 earths were too disunited. Although they knew that the so-called sinful blood clans were wronged, no Taoist sect stood up to clarify this, resulting in these clans being exiled to Sin state, targeted, and oppressed for generations. Without Shahao's quest for the truth, the injustice of the blood of Sin would never have been revealed to the world. Upon discovering the secret of his ancestors' fall, Shahao felt deeply saddened and vowed that if he could reach the pinnacle of the divine path, he would go to the Border Desolation and suppress the enemies of the 10 directions. When Shahao neared the eerie stone cauldron under the severed mountain, he discovered that the material of the pillar top was the legendary world stone, a material that, if shown in the upper realm, would cause a bloody storm. Even a stone cauldron made of world stone was full of cracks, about to shatter at any moment. It was unimaginable what kind of immense power could have affected it. Furthermore, the stone cauldron was surrounded by chaotic air, with wisps of grey mist leaking out. Most terrifying of all, it might contain the full head of a true immortal. Shahao was horrified. Who could have such an enormous handiwork? Soon, he felt a familiar aura, similar to the grey mist that appeared during the previous anomaly. He speculated that the source of the anomaly might be within this stone cauldron. Carefully, he circled the cauldron, but the most worrying thing happened. Grey mist was seeping out of the cracks, indicating that its breaking was only a matter of time. He couldn't imagine what terrible things would occur if it broke open. Suddenly, a bizarre voice wave penetrated Shahao's mind, urging him to destroy the undying, lift the seal. Shahao quickly retreated. His soul was unstable, as if it was about to leave his body, or as if a force was drawing him closer, tempting him to move forward. He beat his sleep hard, trying to stay clear-headed. He had not expected such a weak voice wave to have such a significant impact on his spirit. In the next moment, the cracked stone cauldron shook violently, emitting a divine light. The grey mist began to fade, and the voice wave disappeared. Shahao's expression became extremely grave. This stone cauldron had endured endless ages, yet it still held willpower. What exactly was sealed within it? A hate full of true immortals, or something else bizarre? Suddenly, a harrowing howl came from behind the severed mountain, making one's scalp tingle. Clearly, something terrifying was hiding there. Shahao pondered for a moment, realizing that since he couldn't leave and was likely to perish here, he might as well press forward and explore. He didn't know how long he walked, but it felt like he had reached the end of the ancient ship. Ahead was a vast abyss, from where the earlier terrifying howl seemed to have originated. When Shahao opened his heavenly eye, he saw a person sitting cross-legged at the entrance of the abyss, a tall, imposing figure with black hair draped over his shoulders, sitting motionless. Shahao remembered this person from the scene that appeared on the altar earlier, one of the 7 kings who guarded the border desolation. This king's body was covered with wounds, a short spear lodged in his chest, black swords nailed to his shoulder blades, and a shattered divine sword piercing his head. It was hard to imagine what kind of battles he had endured. In his dying moments, he had laid down a seal, completely sealing this place. Another wave of the eerie voice reached Shahao's mind. I have returned, with a mighty catastrophe, to penetrate the border desolation and the familiar homeland, to leave the seal. Shahao guessed that this king had guarded the border desolation, fighting with his life and blood. He must have returned to his homeland, penetrating the border desolation, to pursue something and seal it. The tragic outcome was that he died here, using his body to suppress and seal the abyss. Clearly, he had immense merits, but no one knew what he had done. Shahao felt a surge of sadness, sympathizing with this king who had done so much for the people, yet whose descendants were branded as sinful blood and despised. It was incredibly unjust and infuriating. Shahao felt deeply moved, bowed deeply, and sighed, "Rest in peace, senior." He thought of the sinful blood flowing in his veins, realizing that this king might be his ancestor. Shahao vowed that if he could escape, he would one day go to the border desolation to fight, suppressing enemies in all directions, even if they were supreme beings. He would be fearless. In the next moment, a rune appeared on Shahao's forehead, sacred light soaring into the sky, breaking the darkness before the abyss. The long-dead king surprisingly reacted, his skull beginning to glow. Shahao was shocked as the runes on their foreheads resonated, as if meeting a blood relative. A burst of light emerged from the king's body. A brilliant light entered Shahao's sin pattern, causing his forehead to heat up. The light from the sin character at his brow illuminated the heavens and the earth, and his blood began to boil. Confronted with the endless grey mist, he no longer felt cold. Shahao vaguely sensed that the sin pattern had gained something, but he didn't know how to activate it. He believed that one day, if he could reach the border desolation, he would understand everything, provided he survived this place. Suddenly, a thunderous noise echoed from the abyss below, as if something was fiercely striking against the seal. Soon, wisps of grey-black mist began to seep out from the seal. The king's half-body had already turned black, evoking a sense of dread. The black mist continued to envelop him, attempting to stain his entire being. Shahao sighed, realizing that one day this seal would break, and the ominous and eerie forces would descend upon the 3,000 states of the upper realm, bringing about a catastrophe. In the distance, a huge lantern lit up on a mountaintop, blood red and illuminating the heavens. Ghostly wails echoed continuously, like the gates of hell had opened, releasing countless black shadows to attack. It was clear that these shadows were the corpses of ancient strongmen, now transformed into fierce ghosts. Shahal believed he was likely to fall here, as the sheer number of enemies, if each one was as strong as he was, would be insurmountable, even with his immortal weapons. Fortunately, through his heavenly eye, Shahal observed that not all the corpses were equally strong. After receiving the king's power, he could freely use divine abilities, without triggering the forbidden power and suffering backlash. Shouting kill, Shahal prepared to fight these ancient corpses. No matter what, Shahal would not sit and wait for death. Even if he were to die, he would do so gloriously. Wielding his void battle halberd, he swept through the ancient corpses. During the battle, he discovered a clear hierarchy among them. The ones slowly advancing from the rear had increasingly powerful auras. Finally, a group of strong opponents emerged, equal in strength to Shahal, all young people with cold expressions, standing proudly and staring at him viciously. Shahal's 5 identities exposed, even causing upper realm sect leaders to flee in panic. First, as a descendant of the sinful blood, Shahal activated his sinful bloodline, while searching for Huilinga in sin state, provoking sects like the Yaolong Dao sect and the Huyun cave. Shahal was unyielding, killing many disciples and even divine-level experts. Second, he was a successor of the Tianzuan Dao field. Outside the celestial continent, Shahal dominantly defeated Yu from the celestial race, revealing himself as the senior disciple of the supreme Dao field. Despite the celestial race trying to bully him, they were beaten nearly to death by Qi Daolin in the Slamy realm. Third, he was the renowned Huang. Upon arriving in the upper realm, Shahal took the alias Huang. In the Tianyuan secret realm, with his formidable strength, he defeated the young elites of various sects, killed his old enemy Emperor Chang's avatar, and gained the Thunder Emperor's legacy and armor. From then on, the name Huang echoed throughout the 3,000 states. Fourth, he was the Stone Emperor, who slew the 7 gods. To seize treasures from the lower realm, the Immortal Hall and Yaolong Dao sect sent divine fire realm experts to massacre the desolate realm. As the ruler of the Stone Country, Shahal single-handedly fought the 7 gods to protect his people, becoming well known in the upper realm. Fifth, he was the often overlooked Haotian. In the Void God realm, when entering the spirit realm, Shahal, under the alias Haotian, chased upper realm elites for tens of thousands of miles, becoming notoriously infamous. Though many sect leaders wanted to kill Shahal, they dared not act openly because of Qi Daolin's protective nature. If discovered, they would face death. As Shahal's 5 identities were exposed, shocking the entire upper realm, he did not halt his progress. He knew that regardless of his identities, his cultivation was his true foundation. Thus, he chose to go into seclusion, focusing on reaching higher realms. During his seclusion, Shahal integrated the Thunder Emperor's legacy and armor's power with the various opportunities brought by his 5 identities. His cultivation advanced rapidly. When he emerged, his strength was formidable enough to intimidate any sect leader. At this time, the upper realm, due to Shahal's seclusion, had temporarily calmed. However, everyone knew this was merely the calm before the storm. Shahal's rise had drawn too much attention, and many forces were waiting for an opportunity to eliminate him. But Shahal did not give them that chance. He took the initiative, launching successive challenges against major forces in the upper realm with overwhelming might. He intended to show everyone that no matter his identity, he was the invincible Huang. His challenges caused waves in the upper realm. Each of his actions left people in awe. His strength and wisdom demonstrated his fearsome nature, and his identities became hot topics once again.